Welcome to another episode of Season 2 of the Panjwai podcast. As always, you can find our episodes on all podcast platforms, as well as YouTube and Facebook for the video episodes. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button on your platform of choice, and if you enjoy what you hear, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a nice 5-star review.
If you want to support the podcast financially, we've set up a few ways for you to do so this season. You can become a patron by hopping over to patreon.com/thepanjwai podcast and sign up for a small monthly donation. If you want to make a one-time donation, you can find us on Venmo at the Panjwai podcast. And last but not least, we've got a small selection of merchandise in our store. So if you head over to thepanjwaipodcast.com and click on the store tab, you'll see stickers and other merchandise, and who knows what might come down the pipeline. So remember, on all three platforms, that's the Panjwai podcast. Panjwai podcast. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I kind of wish I would have picked up one of those deployment pistols. So for our illustrious listeners, basically when we got back from Afghanistan, everybody kind of chipped in and threw down on some laser engraved 1911 pistols to commemorate Bayonet Company and our time at Sperwan Ghar. Me being me and my abandon of all things military, I did not want one. And now that I'm an old man sitting around drinking cold beers, I'm like, I wish I had one of them pistols so I could go to BFW on, on buffet night and tell war stories.
And there's an important part about that story. There's an important part about the story that you're missing.
What's that?
And it's the fact that when we were at Sperwangar, 164 neglected to give us the opportunity to buy the deployment weapons. So because battalions they'll do like a group buy for a deployment pistol, and for that one it was either deployment 1911 or a deployment AR-15.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they were supposed to send us order forms, all that stuff, and we are the only company that never got an order form. No one in Bayonet Company got the opportunity to buy that gun.
That sounds like classic 164 redheaded stepchild behavior,
classic 164. So what did we do? We made our own deployment gun that was way fucking better.
Yeah, we did.
That broke.
And then it broke.
Well, it broke. Look, it's just supposed to be a piece of art. You're the one that fired it. You should have known better.
That's true. That's true. I should have never taken it out of the box.
Yeah.
So, speaking of stealing war stories, so I can still tell them down at the VFW, we're sitting here with one of our tankers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Adam Uhre. How's it going, Adam?
You got it. It's going well. Good to be here.
Yeah, we if you've been following the podcast pretty closely, you know that in addition to being a infantry company attached to, or that was part of an armor battalion, for this deployment, we did a drug deal where we got rid of an infantry platoon and we gained a platoon of tankers, which is the equivalent of a squad.
What is a full platoon of tankers? Like 14 dudes or something?
16.
16. Yeah, that's so small, man.
4 tanks, right?
Yep, 4 tanks, 4 men on the crew.
Mm.
And for comparison, an infantry company is generally, I think 42 or 43.
Doctrinally speaking, a fully manned infantry platoon is 42 dudes.
42.
I think.
So almost a third the size of a fully manned infantry company.
I mean, we'll just get it out of the way, right?
Yeah.
The 13 of us did what a full-up infantry platoon did. I mean, we'll get it out of the way now, right?
Oh, shit.
We'll just address the elephant in the room right away.
We're already getting tanker bullshit.
I had to. So for all those people out there saying that tankers are fat and can't do it, think again.
Our tankers were just fat and could do it.
That's true.
No, we actually. I feel like we got kind of lucky pulling down you guys, because that could have also gone sideways. I feel like tanker platoons, you never know what you're gonna get. Just like infantry platoons, it's not unique to tankers, but
yeah.
But I'm assuming we're jumping ahead of ourselves here, but I'm assuming that process was like they probably picked the particular platoon to send to us. I would hope, anyways.
Oh yeah, the best of the best.
Yeah,
obviously.
They even had tryouts.
Were you guys the platoon that was always like crushing PT before we deployed?
I wasn't. Fuck that.
There was like a whole thing. It was like Charlie Company has the highest PT score and
Yeah, it wasn't me. I was riding other people's coattails.
there you go.
Yeah, I do really good on the push-ups. I had a competition with one other guy, and it was just push-ups, and then everything else was like, man.
Did you do real push-ups or did you do those like?
Oh, they were real push-ups.
Were they?
No.
Like all the way down, all the way up, or were they like these things?
Hey, easy over there. Right?
The jackhammer push-ups.
That was the one spot that I claimed to be my own.
Yeah. Were you a PT stud? I feel like you're a pretty burly dude. I remember you being pretty jacked.
That, like I said, push-ups. Yeah. That was it. Come to the sit-ups, I did the bare minimum. They're like, you reach, what was it, 43? And I was like, I'm done. Like, we're good.
Oh, man, one of the best things that ever happened to me was when you turned like 23 or something, or 22 maybe, your 2 mile goes from like 14:43 to like a full 15 minutes. And that's all I needed was that extra like 20 seconds. Because then I could actually complete it in time. But
no, my dumbass would always like try to sprint, so I'd get like halfway through the first mile and then be gassed, and then have to make up the rest.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No, the best moment was when my minimum for my 2 mile went to 18 minutes.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Hell yeah.
That sounds awesome. I'd have been clocking. I'd have had a timer. I'd have been there at 17:55 every single time.
I was pretty close.
Yeah.
It's not like I got all that extra time. I needed just about every second of the extra time for my last PT test in the Army.
Yeah, I will say for sure that I was not in the best shape when we got over there. But by God,
by the time you left,
by the time we left,
yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I was actually talking about this today. Like, when we left, man, my legs were like tree trunks. I mean, not like that big around. I had this big, huge ass where I'd just been humping gear across Afghanistan. Just built like a brick shit house, and now like I had a pair of hiking pants that I poured myself into them hiking pants, man. And then like a year later, they hang off of me. Mm-hmm. So I was a big boy. It might have something to do with the Otis Smuckmeyer muffins too. But anyways,
all right. Yeah, Adam, give us your spiel, man. How'd you come to join the Army? Why'd you make the mistake of becoming a tanker? And just kind of tell us a little bit about the weird sequence of events that resulted in a platoon of tankers going to Sperwan Ghar and humping rucks around with infantrymen.
Yeah, I fucked up. That's what happened. No, right after high school, I was working for my folks, and one day they came to me. They're like, you either need to go to college or go get a different job. I think it was more they wanted to push me out and do other things, and kind of make something of myself. So I said, okay, let's go look at the college. And then my dad was in the Navy, and he was like, yeah, you should go to ROTC. And I was like, okay, we'll go talk to him. So we get up there, and I mean, guys, I did not like school. I had to take like 16 credits my senior year just to graduate because I screwed off so much the first 3 years. And so I knew that college was not going to be it for me. So one day I just told him, I was like, I'm just going to go to the recruiter and talk to them. My mom said, go to the Air Force or the Navy. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I went down there, walked right into the Army recruiter and said, sign me up. And he was like, he's just going to be licking his chops. I didn't come in there asking for a spiel or anything. I just said, sign me up. He's like, all right, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be an MP. He's like, well, MPs we're not scheduling them out till it was like the end of the year. So this would have been 2010. So you're not going to be able to go to basic till like December in 2010. And I was like, well, I don't want to wait around that long. What else you got? And he's like, well, your ASVAB scores or whatever, we'll get that back. And when they got that back, they're like, we can do anything but really go in MP. He's like, we got tankers. And I was like, what does a tanker do? And he's like, they drive the big tanks. I was like, all right, let's do that. And then, funny about that, when I got to basic, everybody's like, oh, did they get you with a video? And I was like, what video? They're like, yeah, they show you this really cool video of a tank shooting while it's airborne and all this cool stuff. And I was like, dude, I didn't see any of that. I just signed on the line and sent off. So went to Fort Knox, basic.
You did OSIT, right? Just like we did? Yeah.
Yeah. On my wish list, I think I put Germany, Fort Carson, and somewhere that wasn't Georgia. And then when they were coming down, I think they printed the list out, and it said I was going to Fort Stewart. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And one of the drills that was close to me, he's like, oh, you're going to Stewart? That sucks. And I was like, what does that mean?
Fuck, that's been a unifying experience. Every single time somebody's been there, just like, hey, drill sergeant, I'm going to Fort Stewart. Like, oh, sorry, dude. Like, I had the same exact thing happen. It's like, oh, that fucking sucks.
Fuck. So then I got down to the reception. Told me I was going to 164. It was cool. Like, there was like 3 people in my basic platoon that were going to 164 as well. Oh, really? So it was like we all linked up right there at Martin reception and trudged on over to 164. So
very nice. So this would have been the end of 2010, beginning of 2011.
Yeah. I think I told you, man, my memory's shit. So I want to say, when did you guys come back from Iraq?
We came back in October of 2010.
So I would have got there right as you were on your 30-day leave.
Okay. So you were one of the first new privates to show up after that deployment then.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Yeah. From what I remember, it wasn't all that bad. We didn't really do a whole lot. I think we went down to the motor pool a bunch and swept.
Didn't get hazed too bad.
Yeah.
Maybe the tankers didn't haze as much. I don't know.
Just walk out while I'm talking.
We'll have to come and go. We always end up going and using the bathroom, things like that.
No, it wasn't. There really wasn't, too many people there that I can remember. So it was just, I want to say it was just a lot of sweeping at the motor pool.
Mm-hmm. You guys
doing odds
and
and ends.
Lived at the motor pool. You might as well set up a cot back there because you guys basically lived there.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think at the time we were either moving companies or moving locations because we were further down. Mm-hmm. What was it would that have been the east?
It's like right at the turnaround for the 2 mile round.
Yeah, for the 2 mile. Yeah, and then we moved up to the west, and I think that was around that time. I could be a little bit off on the timing.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
And I think So I think we were helping move a bunch of stuff and getting the new company set up for when you guys came back from your leave.
Yeah, that'd be about right. So you show up there, new private, fresh batch of dudes off deployment. Did you think you were going to deploy, or did you were just like, okay, I'm never going to do anything?
From what I remember, it was like they had been saying they had been deploying a whole bunch. Because there were guys that had done 2 tours already that had been in for 4 or 5 years. But they had said, we're slowing down. We're not really doing Iraq slowing down. We're not going to be going back there much. There's no need for tanks in Afghanistan. So from my understanding, it really wasn't going to be a deployment coming up.
Yeah. Well, when the rumor mill started churning for us, man, of course, it was always like, as soon as we got back from Iraq, it's like, we're going to Afghanistan, But the rumors started getting for real in Bravo Company, maybe just like a month before we heard that we were going. Was it the same for you guys in Charlie?
Man, you're really asking me to dig deep into my memory back here. Javers. Like I said, I don't really remember. I could be way off key here, but I don't remember there being too many rumors of us getting deployed. I think it was kind of because we were getting all new tanks in. They're like, we're gonna refit, retrain.
You were balls deep in the gunnery too.
Yeah, yeah.
So you guys were in the gunnery when you found out you were deploying.
Yeah, we kind of got that first little rumor mill that we were going out. And it was like, well, are we taking tanks? Are we not taking tanks? What are we doing in gunnery? What's the deal?
Imagine if we would have brought tanks.
It'd have been awful, dude.
Dragging them out of Great Bros left and right.
Oh, no.
I mean, the Canadians brought tanks, and they used them to some success, apparently. But the pictures that I've seen, there's a lot of them parked, a lot of them driving across the desert, and a lot of them driving through cornfields, marijuana fields. Our Canadian listeners, if you really want to impress us, I want to see a picture of a tank going through Great Bro.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can show me that happened, then I will change my mind on tanks and Panjwai. As of right now,
those are like anti-tank ditches, essentially.
That's exactly what they are.
I can't imagine what you would use them for. I mean, what would they be, like route security or something?
Route security. I know they parked them up on Massamgar and used them as basically just like elevated turrets. Kind of like they did with those strikers, the MGSs at Sperwan Ghar. They parked them up on top of the hill. And I'm going to offend all our MGS and tanker friends, but it's
Worthless.
still a line of sight weapon. You can only see to the first tree line that we walk to. After we go past that tree line, you can't do shit for us.
Exactly.
So you have like an 800-yard effective range with a weapon system that's supposed to be 4,000 yards. You can engage with a tank or something stupid.
Okay, don't ask me questions like that.
Come on, man, you're a
For like 8
tanker.
years. Come on, man. I don't know. I don't.
I just thought it was
All right?
stupid. Like, oh, we can get up high and we can shoot. I was like, you know what else gets up high and shoots? Helicopters, and they're really good at it.
Yes, and they're a lot faster.
Right. Yo. And I don't have to lift heavy ass shit around them either.
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's
Oh,
true.
man. So when you got word you were deploying, like what were you thinking? What were you expecting?
I don't really know. It was because we didn't know that we were getting attached to you guys right away.
Right.
It was just like the rumors were coming down that we were going, and like I said, we were coming fresh off a gunnery. It's like, well, are we taking the tanks? Are we not taking the tanks? What are we? What's our job going to be? And I seem to remember them, on the Iraq deployment they just got back from. I think they had tanks for them. Someone's is yelling at the screen right now saying that we did or didn't.
They had tanks.
Pretty sure
they
they
literally
did.
never left the cop.
Yeah, and that's what I seem to remember. Like they brought them, but they didn't do anything with them.
Because they weren't allowed to take them in most places because they fucked the blacktop up. So I think
Yeah.
they're just the government was tired of replacing the blacktop where tanks had chewed
Oh,
up
I'm sure.
or the asphalt.
And I think there was a lot of negativity off of that, maybe.
Yeah, and it was
coming from the guys
it was
that
like
had just
aggressive
deployed.
invasion thing, right?
Yeah,
Versus like, we're
and
just
from the
driving
guys that
around
had just
trucks.
deployed,
Yeah,
they were like, we never used them. We drove around trucks or did whatever the case may be. And so we were kind of thinking we were going to be doing the same thing, like going and sitting on some fob somewhere and, with our thumb in our, where.
What's ironic about that is that, I think that's part of the reason why they didn't have any tanks in Afghanistan. The Marines brought tanks for one rotation to Helmand, and they're like,
can't do nothing with them.
but I think big
That's
part of that
cool
was
work.
like that, what you're saying, the perception of being an occupying aggressive force. The irony being, every time they saw an MRAP, they just called it a tank.
Yeah,
right.
They were still the tanks. Yeah, I come like the Americans are here in their tanks. I'm like,
Right.
what fucking tanks? Like, oh, they're talking about the MRAPs.
Tanks have treads, dummy. And a main gun larger than whatever bore size.
It was that big phallic shape out there, that just
Right,
seems
exactly.
too aggressive, too outstanding. It's like we're
Pretty
here
much.
to dominate.
That's why I wasn't allowed to stand on top of the truck.
All right.
True story.
well,
Sorry.
True
Sorry,
story.
Mom.
We apologize to your mom for it, man. Sounds like your jeans is working well for you.
she should be apologizing
All right.
to you for creating that burden on your life.
That's right.
Next subject.
It's 105 millimeters, is that right? Anyways.
Yeah.
So, Luke, we're going to turn to you for help because during the pre-interview, we couldn't. I have no bearing. He couldn't remember when their platoon joined our company.
It was
Was
like
that NTC or was it after?
no, it was after NTC. Like I want
That's
to
what I
say it
thought.
was between NTC and deploying. It was like this last minute scramble of because if I had to theorize about it, this is purely just my own theory. Is that Charlie probably found out they were going to Kenjikak and they didn't have the manpower to like man it and to keep it up because it's a pretty good sized little base out there. So my guess is that they probably did that last minute scramble to get some dudes, some numbers bolstered up for Kenjikak. And so we inherited you guys, and then Charlie inherited second platoon. That's my guess. But it was
So when we went to NTC, I thought for sure we did some missions kind of supporting you guys.
yeah.
Because
That
I
sounds
think
familiar.
they might have had an idea that we were going to, but they hadn't really made it official.
Yeah.
Because I seem to remember Kitchen coming and talking to us as well.
Oh, really? So did you guys have
While
that
we were
moment where
there.
he just kind of like told you what was going on? And
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I seem to remember that happening again. Sorry, my memory
no,
is
man,
absolute
mine
shit.
is
But
too.
I,
Everybody's is. That's the fucking problem.
yeah.
It's a good thing we're doing a
But I-
podcast.
Because I remember us doing they're like, oh, we're gonna go do Overwatch for somebody, and I'm pretty sure it was you guys. And they're like, we might be going to them or something to that extent, but we hadn't really shifted to you guys
Yeah,
yet.
that sounds familiar. I feel like I remember you guys being involved in like one of the bigger
Yeah.
operations at NTC, and like how you kind of stepped into that role. So
Yeah.
sometime around there. So it was basically just like 2 or 3 weeks before we deployed, we found out that you were getting attached to us.
Yeah. And we didn't actually come into your guys' ranks until after we got back from NTC.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
I was telling Grace, I remember walking into your guys' company. I had my tanker boots on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the looks that I was getting. I think a couple of us did it just like as a big fuck you. Like, we're here.
Guys, yeah.
Yeah. And I did not wear them again after that day. And I was like, I can't do it.
If I was the first sergeant, I would have made you wear them on every dismounted patrol.
Yeah, definitely.
That would have been awful.
Nope.
Those things, your feet, the bottom of your feet.
You should explain the tanker boots a little bit because, they're just a different ball of
They
wax.
deserve explanation. I'll throw a picture up too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, my memory, but if memory serves me correct, the point behind them, there's a couple different stories. One, the tankers used to give their bootlaces to the infantry guys when they broke, and then they would just take a strap of something and wrap it around the boot.
I like that story.
Again, there's probably tankers in right now screaming at the screen, telling me I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's because it's dangerous to have bootlaces in a tank.
Your boot gets sucked up into the jet vortex and you'll lose your leg to the yeah. Somebody be out there doing it, but fuck that guy.
But yeah, so basically they're just the boot, and then they just have a strap that goes around it and it buckles at the top. And they're super badass looking people. They're awesome.
No, they're not.
They're awesome.
They're not.
And there's a status symbol. It just says that we're better than
even peasants need a status.
It says our PT scores suck, and we'll fuck you up from a mile away.
They look like something like a Hollywood director would see, and they'd be like, "Oh, I gotta get that in my movie." You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of like
way.
World War One or World War II.
Hey, stop it.
It's like the B-reel. It's like the B-reel, like Hallmark special for me. It's like the soldiers coming home, for Christmas, and the director was like,
his flags on his rank patch.
Let's put him on this guy. Fucking flags on backwards. Yeah.
All right, I said I wore them one day, and that was it. All right, let's leave it alone.
All right, you've received your deserved.
You got your fuck you out of the way, which is good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Salty.
Yeah.
And just to kind of give everybody a little bit of insight, like there's always kind of a salty competition between tankers and infantry and heavy infantry units, even though basically traditionally in infantry guys, you're going to take a hit on this one. You're baby tankers. If you're in a Bradley, you're a baby tanker. You really
You're a
are.
tanker. You are.
But
Baby tanker.
unbeknownst to you
Emphasis
guys,
on the baby.
and unbeknownst to us, we deployed to Afghanistan and we were all light infantry all of a sudden. Didn't matter what you were doing.
That's the real joke.
Yeah, that's the real joke.
We had 16 or 13 tankers that probably have more claim to a CIB than anybody that's earned their CIB in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
That's very true. Oh man, yeah. It was pretty even killed in a lot of ways. You guys did a lot of work.
Yeah, it was, we were talking about it the other day. It was just like walking into the company. It was like, we didn't know what to expect out of you guys. You guys didn't really know what to expect out of us. I don't really remember a whole lot of hazing, from either side. It was kind of like we knew what we were getting into because we've been kind of told, where we're going is going to be a shithole and you guys are going to be in it. So I think that everybody kind of put everything on the back burner. It was like,
There's no time for
let's
that
just-
shit. At that
They would
point.
have time for
let's
it.
just
They
get
have
it
the
done.
luxury of it.
Yeah.
So
also helps you guys came over intact. So you had a platoon sergeant, you had a lieutenant, you had so there wasn't going to be like some E4 going over and trying to tell your sergeant he's a piece of shit. Like, it's not going to go over.
Yeah.
But
I just had something and I lost it.
it
Man, my mind, dude. Wow, I should have grabbed a beer before this. But like we were talking about the whole dynamic, because my tank crew was actually the CO's tank crew. So we actually got pulled out of headquarters in Charlie and put into second.
Oh,
and then second got put into Bravo Company. So we still had that kind of that shift to not as bad, but we still weren't really a part of second platoon.
Okay.
Prior to that shift, right? And so we were kind of getting to know the guys that were in.
So you were like
second
new
platoon.
guys in a platoon that were tankers in an infantry company.
Yeah.
That was an infantry company in a tank battalion.
Exactly.
That was attached to an infantry battalion from Washington State.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So we definitely thought that one all the way through on it. But, and luckily in our movements in Charlie Company, we had done a lot with Second Platoon as well, but we just didn't have that full camaraderie with those guys. We had
it takes time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you had plenty of in Afghanistan to become
exactly. Yeah.
intimately familiar with each other.
Heavy on the intimate.
Intimate, yes, extremely intimate. Infantry level intimate, even. So you came to us a few weeks before we left. Lots of this story is the same as we've told with other people. Flew to Manis, flew to Kandahar, waited around, flew to Sperwan Ghar. Oh my God, this is really nice.
Right. Actually, I want to back you up for just a second
because
I know you guys have mentioned this. The pistol that went missing right before we deployed.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for my opportunity to tell my side of the story. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I stole it. I'm kidding.
I'm the reason you didn't go see your family the week before we deployed.
So what was it? Like right after we got back from NTC, that all happened, right? Mm-hmm. Somehow I got approved leave for that day when that thing went missing. So I had left that morning and I was like 4 or 5 hours away or something like that. And they called me and they were thinking about trying to get me to turn around. And I was like, I've got papers in hand. There is no way I'm turning around, dude.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah.
So people kept texting me like, we've been at the company for how many ever hours. They're looking for a pistol. Like, all this is crazy. Like, you're lucky to be out of here. And I'm just cruising down the road like, no thank you.
You dodged the big green weenie that day. Good dodge.
Yeah,
good
for
dodge.
Sure.
Yeah, because the rest of us were fucking miserable, hating life like 7 days out from deploying to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. And the big picture of the story, I don't know, I think we've mentioned it in passing, like with quick anecdotes, but the story is you guys went to NTC, you came back and did all your inventories, and an M9 was missing.
Was gone.
So, and this is like 3 weeks before we were set to deploy. It was very, very soon before we were set to deploy. Mm-hmm. And so the answer by the leadership of 164 was, these guys that aren't going to see their families for 9 months, we're going to keep them at the company indefinitely. They will sleep here. They will eat MREs here. They will not see their families until we find this pistol.
In full kit.
Oh, that's right. You were in full kit. And you were like, what, formations? Like every couple hours or something
it was like
stupid?
Every 45 minutes, there's going to be a formation or something fucking dumb like that.
As if like it's just going to fucking magically appear because you're standing in formation. Like, it's clearly not there because you can't find it. So what the fuck? Like, maybe send people home. Maybe you'll magically show up if they go home. I don't know.
Yeah.
Full circle, M9 shows up 3 years later.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that part.
Oh, no, they found it at NTC. It was at NTC the whole time.
Of course it was.
Some unit out on maneuvers in NTC found the pistol, and I was there when they mailed it back.
Oh, that's great.
And it was hilarious.
That's great. Oh, man. Dude.
It was in California the whole time.
The families, like, justifiably so, 100% justified. They raised immortal hell over that.
Oh, yeah.
They were like adding IG on Twitter. They were calling the fucking White House. Like, they were just like, and it didn't last long. I mean, we were there for like an evening. We were probably there for 5 or 6 hours, but I remember it was.
I think you guys were there overnight because I remember driving by and seeing the craziness.
I thought it was longer than a few hours. I didn't think it was overnight.
I think I don't remember being there overnight. I remember the company I think it was HHC that lost it, and I think they had to stay. The rest of the battalion went home. That's what happened. Yeah, I think maybe. But my memory is also shit. So I know.
Yeah.
All I know is I was not there. I was heading back to South Dakota, and I was happier than a clam and shit.
All right. Any of our listeners that can remember exactly how long that lockdown lasted, let us know. I bet you Nintz remembers vividly. He seems like the kind of person that would have taken it so personally that he would remember exactly what happened.
It was dumb. It was just stupid army mass punishment mentality. It's dumb. It's stupid. If you're in the army now in your leadership position, do not mass punish your soldiers, because all you're going to do is destroy morale. You're going to make them hate you, and
There's no point. It's
There's
not
no
like
point.
you're not going to
it's
make
not
that
accomplishing
M9
anything.
show up.
It would be like if the guy down the street went out and sold some crack on the corner, and I had to go to jail for him. Anyways, but mass punishment is dumb.
Yep, mass punishment, dumb. M9 saga
Back in
deployed.
California.
Yeah, back in
Deployed.
California the whole time. We deployed, got to Kandahar, sat around in Kandahar waiting to go to Sperwan Ghar. Got to Sperwan Ghar. Sperwan Ghar is nice. You guys had pretty decent rooms too. Like everyone was on even keel. I don't feel like you guys got, shafted or anything because you were tankers. I think you guys had a.
No, we had awesome. All of our rooms were awesome, and it was cool because we read Lines of Kandahar before, like everyone was passing it around at NTC, and we remember the writings on the ceiling.
Yes.
And so we were all looking for those rooms and all that cool stuff. But yeah, Sperwangar was
Nice.
It was nice.
Very nice.
It was nice.
Yeah. You guys lived in the schoolhouse with us, didn't you?
You're right across the hall, man.
Yeah, I remember
come on,
second
man.
platoon was like right across the hall from me because me and Kurt's like the last room of first platoon, and then it was second platoon after that. So we'd cross second platoon guys a lot in the halls coming and going.
You guys got to watch us getting smoked all the time for
Stupid shit.
forgetting things and
I didn't
gear
I
inspections.
didn't forget anything.
Well,
Again,
I didn't forget anything either. I still got smoked for it.
again, mass punishment is dumb. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it'll happen.
anyways, so
I know we talked about your first firefight was very, very soon after ours and in the same place.
Yep.
It was also out by the Twig Grid line, which I didn't know.
really,
Yep.
so how'd you?
Because I
how'd you
think
earn
they
the
sent
cab,
us
man?
out.
Let's hear it.
That was how.
Yeah.
They sent us out. I think it was like maybe the next day or a couple days after to the same area, and because we were talking about that whatever trail that was off to the
Taliban Highway.
the west. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we took that same road. Went out there and got to that same almost I think identical spot, and they started getting after us. So I don't know, I was probably 7 or 8 guys in, and I was behind a wall, so I heard it all going on up front, and all I could do was just sit back there and hang out behind the wall.
Yeah.
Now, did you carry a saw or did you carry M4 with a grenade? Like, how did they arrange that for you guys? Because I mean, Infantry Company, we have some sort of rhyme or reason. We abandoned it, of course, but
Yeah.
how did they decide who carried what and what your jobs were going to be?
I think it was just luck of the draw. I think we had a saw up front on the clearing team, and then we had a saw in the back, if I remember correctly. I had M4, and I got a 203. I can't remember if I had it the whole time or just the second half.
Okay.
But then some brilliant somebody decided that we should be carrying the 60 mortar, and so I was the AG for that for
You guys
a couple
carried
missions.
that?
And
The whole time?
no, we
Oh,
abandoned that pretty fucking quick.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we made this. I don't know if we made it or the SF guys gave it to us. It was like a backpack rig that you could just take off and deploy right away without pulling it off the
SF
backpack.
guys hooked us up with that.
Yeah. So one of us carried the actual tube, and then I was the AG for that.
Yeah.
So I had a bunch
That
of
sucks.
mortar rounds. And I want to say we only did it for 1 or 2 missions, but it was, we had choppers above almost all the time. So we couldn't, I think we maybe shot it maybe once.
You shot it
Like,
once.
on a
You shot it
mission.
more than we did.
Yeah. I seem to remember us shooting it once. I know we took it down to the what would that be, an ALP checkpoint down by a big reggae. And we set off some flares or something. Or maybe it was on the cop and we were doing like 4th of July, set up some flares on it. But
That counts.
on mission, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think we shot it once. But other than that, it just stayed on our backs. We would try to pull it out, and choppers would be up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just pointless.
When we had Sergeant Lloyd came to us, he plussed us up after much later in the deployment. He was in 11 Charlie, and he found out that we hadn't been carrying it the whole deployment. He's like, "I can't believe you're not using that. That's like the best weapon that you have. I'll carry it." I was like, "Okay,
Go for it.
go for it." One mission.
Yeah.
He's like, "That's stupid. We're never going to use
Yeah.
that."
I feel like the only time I remember the 60 being used was during clearing the horn. And I feel like 100 black men lobbed like a few rounds on that middle day. And that was it. Like, that's the only time we ever used a 60, especially when we got the goose.
Yeah. Once we had the goose,
It's my obligatory one mission per episode.
But for us, with us being, I seem to remember it being 13. We kind of went back and forth on this the other day, but I think we had 13 guys to start, something like that. But we had to carry the same amount of shit.
Yeah.
And so all of us, the bags were just
packed
stuffed with everything.
Yeah.
We had people in the back carrying extra mine clearing equipment. We had ammo on everybody. We had,
water,
AT4s on people. It was awful.
I'd say 13 is about the average that we went out with as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the privilege of having 2 squads of about that size, so we could alternate on the dismounted days. So it wasn't everybody going out every single time. But I mean, we're still going out every day, just different kind of tasks, so driving trucks or QRF or something.
That's something that I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit too. And we talked about this the other day. When we first got there, the NTC, it was kind of like how do we utilize these guys? We'll have them do Overwatch or whatever, and that kind of transferred over to the deployment, and it was. Nobody really knew how to utilize us. We were smaller than you guys. We were tankers.
Right.
And they didn't really have a mission set for us, it seemed.
Yeah.
It was, they're going to be doing QRF. They're going to be doing mail runs. They're going to be doing food runs. They're going to be doing, all the mounted missions. And that was kind of what we were tapped up to do from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember constantly driving to Big Reggae. I think we went down there like 3 times in a week or something like that.
Really?
Always going to Zangabad to get in the mail. Always going to Ghar, going to the the district center, doing that kind of stuff. And it was because nobody knew how to utilize us,
right?
And so we finally went to our leadership and we're like, we want to do more. We want to get out doing what these guys are doing. And it's funny because we talked about what was it, Evans from the district center?
Yeah.
Somebody told him, be careful what you wish for. And it was the same thing for us. Like, be careful what you guys wish for. And if we would have just kept our dumbass mouth shut and just kept driving Miss Daisy, we would have been made in the shade.
In the air-conditioned shade.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, do you remember there was a moment where you kind of shifted for you guys and you started like, do more foot patrols and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was shortly after that, we kind of got put into the rotation, and then we started moving out to, I want to say one of our first ones was pushing out to that 2-8 grid line or 4-8 grid line or whatever the hell it is. 2-8 grid line?
Yeah.
So it was only a couple weeks that you guys
wasn't
were
long.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long then. Yeah, because I mean, it was weird with you guys having only one squad essentially. So because if you guys were going to do a patrol that wasn't out of the base, you had to use us or third platoon to drive you guys and drop you guys off. Because for our listeners, the MATVs we keep talking about, which is like, is it medium all-terrain vehicle or something like that? I don't know what it's called. But they only have seats for 5 total: a driver, a TC, and a gunner. And the driver, TC, and the gunner have to stay with the vehicle. So I mean, there's only 2 seats in an MATV that you can carry passengers for dismounts. So we had lots of those, but only so many people to drive gun, and TC is ironically tank commander. But they weren't tanks, obviously. But that person that would be an NCO. They would have to be in the front passenger seat, no matter what. You couldn't have 2 privates driving around an MATV unsupervised. You probably could have, and
I think we did it
sometimes.
at one point. Yeah, I think we did at some point.
It did happen.
Yeah, but
doctrinally, you had somebody in that seat. You had somebody driving, somebody gunning at all times. So the MATVs only 2 passengers per, and we had 1 Max Pro per platoon.
Yeah.
And the Max Pro could carry 6 or 7 guys in addition to the TC, the driver, and the gunner. So our ability to deliver a squad of infantrymen or tankers was really limited. It would take 8 trucks to do it. So, and if you only have 13 guys, obviously you can't deliver yourselves. Yeah, but it worked both ways. I know you guys dropped us off a lot of times too, and we, especially towards the end of the deployment, we didn't have the guys when we were down to 13 people.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of shuttling around. Us shuttling you guys shuttling us.
The tank platoon got contact before third platoon.
Yeah,
That is really important
Yes.
to mention.
It is very
So
important.
it's actually
So third platoon out there, just remember
Tankers got
the
it
tankers
before
beat
you.
you.
tankers got it
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably why they were panicking so hard and just like going all over it, everywhere they could think of to try to get contact.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I would too. You know,
Yeah.
with the straps on my boots, somebody got it before me, and you know, I'd be pretty salty about it as well.
Oh man,
They were
That's a really
salty,
good
man,
point.
because it was like a month before they started taking contact. You know?
Yeah.
It was. I think. I don't even think they took it. I think they took it a couple days before we cleared the horn.
Yeah, like we
was
had
very,
actually
very
gotten
late.
into 2 or 3 days. Like I know for a fact that our squad had gotten in at least 2 firefights, if not 3. Second squad had gotten in a couple firefights, and third platoon was like, and second platoon had gotten in firefights, and third platoon was like, oh, we gotta get in the shit. I'm like, all right, well, you can clear the horn.
Yeah, the horn was definitely there. Careful what you ask for,
Yep.
Yeah,
because
for
they
sure.
they got it in the horn for sure. They probably got one of the worst dismounted fights of the whole deployment in
True.
the horn.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
you got it. Congrats.
yeah, got to get your horn.
They beat us there because I think we were QRF for
You were
that,
on
right?
the
Yeah.
top the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, nice and comfy in the AC.
Yeah, man.
Not a care in the
Had
world.
it made,
Yeah.
which was an envious position at Sperwangar.
Yes, yes, it
We
was.
look back and we're like, yeah, man, I was out there I was in the shit every day. But when you actually think about it, you're like, yeah, I wish I would have been sitting in the air conditioning.
Right.
Retrospect.
Well, I think we were talking during the pre-interview about that kind of thing. How Sperwangar was nice, but we went out a lot. Our op tempo was really really high.
Mhm.
And when you look at a lot of the units, and this isn't all encompassing, I know I'm gonna get hate. Someone's like, that's not the way we did it. But a lot of the units in like the Kunar in the mountains, they rotated in and out. So they'd be in there for a couple weeks at a time, and they'd come back and they'd refit at J-Bad or Sasabad, which is one of the FOBs that was in the Kunar. So kind of halfway up there. So I mean, they didn't spend their entire time at places like Cop Keating or
Restrepo
well, I think Cop Keating they did, but Restrepo, Restrepo was they rotated through
Great
Restrepo.
example. Yeah.
Keating, I think they lived there. That was actually really bad. Yeah, they I think they spent all their deployment there, but yeah, I mean it's to operate in an area like that without any kind of break, it's different. So I don't feel as bad about having a nice cop because we never rotated out.
Yeah.
To CAF. We didn't spend like 3 weeks at CAF while Alpha Company ran ops out of Sperwan Ghar. And I'm
That's
glad
true.
that they didn't.
Yeah, same. The casualties would have been catastrophic. You know.
Yeah, I mean there'd be no continuity.
Yeah. Yeah. If we rotated new people in, then the IED hits would have been significantly more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
But it's just another interesting way that it was different
different
from
yeah.
how other units did it. And
I mean, the fact that we had a platoon of fucking tankers out there stomping around with us is different.
It's so
Hell yeah.
That might
so
have been the
weird,
first time
man.
in Afghanistan that tankers were out like just stomping around, or one of the first.
No, they
anyways.
had done it before, like in the Kunar. They
Had they?
deployed.
I
Like,
guess first
yeah.
ID like switched to Afghanistan pretty early on, didn't they? Yeah.
And they had like Cav Scout units up there, like heavy Cav Scout units. And they have tank companies too. So I don't know how they did it. So if you were a tanker and you deployed to Afghanistan before 2012, we'd
Let
love
us
to
know.
hear
Let us know.
in the comments
Yes,
what it was like.
I'd love to.
How did
For
they
sure.
use you?
For sure.
So you got in there. We you finally got your cherry popped. Operation Temple kind of picks up, and just how did it change for you guys? Did you ever feel like you were, it was like you were just bayonets, like the fact that you were tankers was forgotten, or was it always kind of there, or did you guys feel like you kind of found your place with this?
I think for the most part it was like going back to what I said earlier. We knew what the mission was going to be.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we didn't know, but we had an idea that we were going to go into it, and everyone really bonded pretty quick. I remember
Mhm.
lots of crazy nights in the TV room, people on carts, and
Yep.
running around playing sports or whatever the case may be. And it wasn't like we weren't part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
I never really got that impression that I remember.
Yeah,
I know there was a lot of guys that I didn't interact with the other platoons, just because we were all on different schedules or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But there was definitely folks from each platoon that we all kind of interacted with on a daily basis, I would say.
Yeah.
And yeah, we definitely felt like once we kind of got into the rotation
Right.
that you guys were on, not just the truck bitches.
Yeah.
I think that's when it really got cemented down that we were actually part of the team. And
Yeah.
and I think there was almost a level of that we had to prove ourselves out there. Because like we asked to go do the same thing that you guys were doing. And rightfully so, people were skeptical. I mean, we were shorter than the other platoons. We weren't infantry guys. We were, dismounted tubbies that, shouldn't have been out there. And so we definitely had to prove ourselves. And once I seem to remember like a point in the deployment where it was like, all right, you guys aren't tankers right now.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience for that part of it. Once everything kind of came together and we were in that flow of missions and getting shit done. So,
well, I can say after we talked the other day and talking today, I think I know what that moment was. I think it was the moment that when we got infantrymen reinforcements, they gave you infantrymen as reinforcements and trusted, a tank platoon to treat infantrymen as if they were one and the same.
Yeah.
So at that point, it didn't matter really what your MOS was. Like, we're all going out, we're all walking around, so it doesn't matter if they're infantrymen or if they're... What is the tank MOS?
19 kilo.
19 kilo. Same at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd get shot if I said that in garrison at peacetime.
Right.
At that time, at Sperwan Ghar in Afghanistan.
Yeah, we didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Man. Honestly, I mean, I think, like you said, once we got past that point where you guys were like into that 3-day rotation of QRF / mounted / dismounted patrols, we didn't give a shit that you guys were tankers.
Yeah,
we got,
for sure.
We got there and started
And like
stomping around and started getting. And you guys got into some good firefights, like good firefights.
For sure.
So, and I think
for sure
when Frost got hit too, that definitely drove it home. For sure.
Yeah, because you guys are getting hurt too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I said, once we got into that, it was all like we were the same team. There wasn't any of that bullshit rivalry and good sportsmanship type stuff. It was all we were all on the same. There was one common enemy, and we were all going after that enemy together. So.
And then you redeployed.
Yes.
And tell us what that was like. So you bonded with your fellow infantrymen. You did the same job as the infantrymen. You walked around. You got in your gunfights. That line between 19 Kilo and 11 Bravo pretty much dissolved. And you were good at your job. We were all in a rhythm. And then it's over. And now you're back at Fort Stewart. And you're a tanker again. How was that?
And you kind of reminded me about the speeches that we got from individuals, I should say,
right?
About being that professional soldier when we came back, and basically it was
don't talk about it.
Yeah, out of all of us, or out of all the companies, Bravo Company was the only one really getting into it, and so when we got back, it was like don't talk about it. You know what you did, they know what you did. No need to talk about it. And so, I mean, as anybody that's deployed will know, you have to talk about it with people that were there with you. That's the only way for you to really process it and really kind of get your head wrapped around it. You have to be able to share those stories and talk to people that were there and kind of decompress it all. So when we got back, obviously we shifted back to Charlie Company, and then your guys' second platoon came back to you, and it was like walking into a stranger's house going back. It was more awkward and uncomfortable walking back into Charlie Company after the deployment than it was walking into Bravo Company before the deployment.
Really?
Oh yeah. Because like second platoon stayed together for I can't remember how long it was before they completely disbanded us. But it was second platoon, and it was the rest of Charlie Company is what it felt like.
Yeah.
You know, like we would tell stories amongst the other second platoon people and talk about it and, you know, bond more over the experience and all that stuff. And then you'd see other people like they kind of wanted to chime into a conversation, but they didn't have anything to talk about. So it was just super awkward. Or you would walk in and, you know, another platoon would be talking about one of their missions or whatever. And we would walk in and it would be like, almost like they would stop talking.
Like the record screeches in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just so uncomfortable at that point. You know, it was just like us and then the rest. And so then shortly after we got back, they split second platoon up because they wanted to split the wealth around or split the knowledge around or whatever their bullshit excuse was for it. So then you had, you know, second platoon scattered to the wind in the rest of Charlie Company, and you didn't have that. There's my warrior brother anymore. It's a guy that was on CAF or Kinchikak or wherever it was, and you couldn't really have the same dialogue with that person that you could with somebody that was at Sperwan Ghar.
And
so go ahead.
And for our listeners, I mean, platoons in combat units might as well be like different units.
They really
like
should.
You see each other in passing. You might know each other's names because you used to be in a platoon together. But like in general, like you don't spend a whole lot of time with people in other platoons. So the extent of your interaction with them, at least at work, is literally just in passing because you do all your training, team, squad, platoon, internal, and they're off doing their own thing. They have their own leaders. They have their own priorities, and it's just, you know, and rivalries develop. You know, they're very different. Like the 3 platoons in an infantry company, or I'm sure it's the same in the tanks. Like you're competing against each other when you shoot gunnery. You're competing against each other internally. Like, and only time you really come together is when you're competing as a company. And it's just weird. So by splitting a squad that is really tied up after a deployment like that, you're basically saying all those people the only people that you had to talk about this experience are no longer available to you.
For sure, yeah, and that's awful. Yeah, it's a really disservice to guys coming back for something like that. You know, luckily we're pretty close in all the single guys were pretty close in the barracks and all that stuff. Right. So we still had something outside of work, but at work, you just felt
alienated,
like an outsider.
I feel like that was something that was just handled very poorly by battalion leadership and by, you know, the upper echelons of apparently in Charlie Company too. You know, I don't know whose call that was, but that's something that was handled very poorly when we got back. And, you know, it's like, instead of just kind of owning it and being comfortable with the fact that rival companies out there getting in the shit at Sperwan Ghar, while the majority of the battalion either, you know, they saw some stuff, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
And not to disparage what they were doing, they just got stuck there. But instead of just being like cool with that and like, welcome back into the fold, brothers. You know, like let's pick up, move on to the next mission, and like we want you back here so that we can carry on and go forward as a unit. Instead, it was like that antagonism was just very much prevalent there, and it came down from the battalion leadership. You know, like it literally started with that formation. It was like it was the read between the lines of what I'm saying. It's Bravo Company, don't go around swinging your dicks around because you guys were out there getting in the shit. You know.
Yeah, but and that was a speech given to the entire battalion.
Yeah, in front of
before we left.
The thing, they didn't come down to us and tell us that. And like, you know, if the way to do that as a leader is to come down and be like, hey, dudes, like we know you guys saw more stuff. It was more kinetic, whatever. Be humble, you know, be cool, be respectful to your fellow soldiers. They could have just as easily been in the situation you were in and vice versa. It wasn't that. It was just like the chip on the shoulder about it, you know.
Yeah,
it's fucking toxic.
And it's worth mentioning here, like Charlie Company saw stuff.
They saw
at
some stuff.
Yeah. They had several major contacts. They had guys get wounded. There were several Purple Hearts. Like they saw real combat in the Grape Rose.
Yeah.
Like they were shooting mortars and they were shooting rounds too, but it was a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
So it actually, I think, put Charlie Company in an even weird, and it includes our second platoon that was attached to Charlie Company. Put them in a really weird position because they did see some stuff which puts them above everyone that was at CAF.
Yeah.
But they didn't see any. I mean, hardly anybody in the country saw the level that 123 saw on the horn.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
at that time, that was where the fight was. So they never. I feel like they were awkward about wanting to talk about their experiences because, you have Adam and the second platoon, the guys who were at Sperwangar, that saw more. So everybody feels awkward, and no one addressed it. No one said, "Hey, we're all together. We're back to one team." Bravo Company, great job, awesome. Charlie Company, great job, awesome. Alpha Company, sorry, maybe next time it'll be your turn.
Yeah.
But it was just, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way for sure. And it created a lot of issues in that battalion.
Yeah.
Because then you had guys that saw stuff. Let's say guys that in Charlie Company that did see stuff. They don't feel like they can talk about it because they don't want to be compared to Bravo Company. And you have Bravo Company who saw tons of stuff that they don't feel like they could talk about it because they feel bad about making.
They don't want it to be.
They don't want other people to feel. Yeah, right, exactly. So everyone's trying to be cognizant of each other's feelings here, but no one is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think when we got back to our company, we would come out back and hang out with Bravo more than we did our own company.
I know you guys were down there all the time.
Yeah. We just come around that little retaining wall and we'd all stand out there with you guys. I mean, we felt more comfortable there than we did in our own shop.
Well, I mean
there's echoes of that to this day. I mean, I still feel more of a connection to 123 than I do to 164.
Yeah, by a long shot.
I mean, just by nature because of our shared experience versus the experience that 164 had. Yeah. And again, no hate. I mean, it easily could have gone the other way.
Draw.
It's just luck of the draw, but
or bad luck of the draw.
Or bad luck of the draw.
Yeah, right. Depending on which way you look at it.
And Adam, you made a really good point in the preview about combat patches. Since we were, and Charlie Company was as well. Charlie Company is one of the cops that was part of 123's, operational control. They were allowed to wear the 2ID patch as just like we were when we got back. We had a letter, was legit. We can wear a 2ID patch, combat patch, or a third ID combat patch. And you said that created some kind of not issues, but
contention.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I felt like, in my mind, as a young man back then, like we earned that,
right?
And there was others that didn't earn it, and so I got to the point where I just stopped wearing it. I wouldn't wear a combat patch at all.
Yeah,
and then I stopped wearing my cab at times because of it.
Right,
and obviously I'm older, more mature now, and that's not the way to look at it. But back then, it was like walking into Charlie Company and they're wearing that same thing, and it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, right.
And that goes back to that same contention, since we weren't supposed to talk about it. We weren't supposed to, measure dicks and that kind of stuff. It just kind of added a whole new layer to it.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Well, the operative word you used earlier, and I think there's two important to take away from this. One is a more personal thing. The operative word you used earlier was we. We talked about when we redeployed, we came back, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that when our platoon came back from Bravo Company and went to Charlie. Right. So, it was interesting that, just kind of even subconsciously you're talking about when you got back, it was we as bayonets, we as Bravo. So you guys had ingratiated yourself and you ingrained yourself into the platoon or into the company so thoroughly that distinction wasn't even there. So to be severed from that, man, I can understand. And to segue into something Curtis said, like the guys at Charlie who saw some shit. And sorry, Alpha and Delta, you didn't see shit. Sorry, guys. But whatever. That's fine. Don't overcompensate for it. But like the guys at Charlie who saw some, some shit, the fact that they felt that they couldn't, if they couldn't talk about that creates potential problems for dudes who like down the road. Because you see somebody get their leg blown off, or you have a really bad close call in combat, that fucking sucks. You need to talk about it. But if you're in an environment where all that's being suppressed and all that's being like swept to the side, or it's all being like held up to this, to this ridiculous pissing contest thing, then that has the potential to create some stuff that has some negative fallout and negative consequences.
And on
Instead
the
of
other
just-
side
for
too,
sure.
to tell the guys at Bravo, like, hey,
Yeah,
You
you
know,
guys are
it-
fucking war heroes.
you guys,
you have
yeah,
to win
you
in
don't,
the
you
war
don't need to
in
be out there talking about
Afghanistan.
what you did at all. You just need to keep that inside and be
Yeah.
modest and be like, okay, to an extent, I agree. You
Yeah.
should be modest. You should be humble. You should not post your combat awards on the back of your truck. I'm sorry. If your ERB is on the back of your truck, you're a douche.
Yeah. I saw a giant CIB today on the back of the truck, and I was like, "Oh, that one firefight, bro."
The size of the CID on the vehicle is disproportionately proportionate to the
the-
magnitude of the combat.
It
So,
really is. Yeah, it was like almost across the entire back, and I was like, "I wonder what that one guy's
it's
one
a,
war
yeah,
story
is a mortar that landed outside the cop.
Yeah,
Yep. The Pizza Hut got blown up, and
Yeah.
that was a sacrifice.
yeah.
But I mean, there's
exactly.
truth to it. You shouldn't go around just like you said, swinging your dick around. Oh, I did this, I did that. Blah, blah, blah. But there's also a degree of if you didn't do shit, you don't go around saying you did it. And
Yeah.
if you did see shit, you should not be suppressed from talking about it. You should be
say,
saying, hey, you saw you saw some crazy stuff and some wild experiences and gained some very valuable experiences, but could you just not talk about it in front of the guys that didn't? Because we don't want them to feel bad.
Yeah.
Maybe they should listen and hear about those experiences so that they can learn something or hear
Yeah.
about an experience that happened so that, let's say, in the off chance in a different world where there were still deployments going on, they might experience that on a later date.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It's not about swinging the dick, really, in my mind. It's really not about swinging the dick at all. It's talking to you talk with those or about those war stories with people that were there.
Right.
You're not
Exactly.
talking about those war stories with people that weren't there. It's just that they happen to be standing there or in the same
Right.
room or whatever. And when you take that little piece that some people may just be clinging to, like, this guy was there with me, let's get through it together, and you disband that, you spread those people out throughout the company to suppress that, you're doing a great disservice to those individuals that need that camaraderie. They need that
connection.
somebody to talk to about it. They need to have someone to vent to or bounce ideas or stories off of or whatever. And that's the whole point that we're trying to get across, is not we're trying to swing our dicks at anybody who'll listen. Because I mean, I think you guys have talked about it before. The guy that talks the loudest did the least.
Yeah, definitely.
You hear all the time, you'll hear people telling war stories. And it's like, if those are real, chances are you're not telling people that you don't know.
Right.
You're telling the people that were there with you, and those are the only people that you will talk about it with.
Yeah,
Think about when you were on your 30 days of leave after deployment. How much did you tell your
didn't say a
family?
word.
Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a goddamn thing, right? You were saving that for those people that were there.
That's a really good point, actually, because like when you're telling those stories, like you said, you're not telling it at the dude who wasn't there. You're sharing it with the dude who was there, so that you guys can recount it and measure it out. And actually, before the podcast, I've said it before many times, but I'll say it again. Like, I went whole semesters in classes with other veterans, like dudes who are like Marines who deployed to fucking Jordan or whatever, that would tell all these stories that never even knew I was a veteran, much less a combat veteran, because I wasn't gonna get into that space. I didn't want to talk at that person and like, oh yeah, well no shit, there I was, in the pants, because that's a fucking douche move.
It is.
But yeah, I really like that point. Like when you're talking about that, but when Curtis would come to my house,
Take about 3 beers.
it had been like 2 or 3 years, or it'd been a couple years since we'd seen each other, or whatever. We'd just be like, "Oh yeah, you remember that one time?" And like that's whenever my wife Leah was like hearing all these crazy stories, was in proximity to the conversation I was having with Curtis, because I wasn't going to go out and tell my mom and dad, tell Leah, tell my classmates, that kind of stuff, because for one, why?
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant.
Yeah.
If you're in English 101 at college, don't go fucking telling war stories about patrolling around Afghanistan. Like, it's just dumb,
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And, it makes sense to talk about the people that are there with you, because you have that shared experience, man. And being able to navigate that successfully is something that a lot of veterans fail at. So it encourages me to hear you say these things, man, because it gives me hope for veterans who are navigating it successfully.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like a lot of veterans struggle with the maturity required to know when it is appropriate to have those conversations. Because there are appropriate times to have those conversations with civilians. It's not in the middle of your English 101 class. It's not in the middle of a lecture at all. It's not at the bar. It's not. It will come up at very specific times when a specific anecdote, just like any other life experience. You know,
Exactly.
that was 9 months of your life out of 20 years. So if you feel like you are disproportionately pulling experiences from that 9-month experience,
go do something else.
Go
do
do
something
something else.
fucking cool and quit being a douche.
A loser.
Yeah, quit being a freaking loser, man. Just like go do something cool so you have something
go
else.
and go
to
start
talk about.
don't you dare start a podcast about it.
Yeah, fuck you. The podcast is ours. Oh man!
And the hypocrite of the episode goes to us. Another well-timed soundboard. Perfect. No, we do get pretty harsh on the whole vet bro culture, but I mean, we're kind of guilty of some of that stuff in having the podcast. But just to remind our listeners, the reason we're doing this is because twofold. One, the stories need to be told in a forum that is appropriate. So as we mentioned before, this is an appropriate forum to talk about these things.
Agreed.
Second, it is important for our guests' health, mental health, and our mental health to talk through these things, to remember them properly in the right context for the right reasons.
Yes.
So, and that's why we do this, because it is important to save this moment. And then once this podcast is over,
I'll probably never mention Sperwan Ghar ever again because I'm already sick of talking about it. And we're like halfway through.
yeah. Yep. This is a project. This is not an ongoing, thing that will happen indefinitely until we're 50 years old talking about, back in the stand, it was a lot different. Those MREs, they had a lot less cholesterol. It's going to be over in like a year, guys. So make sure you stick around for the ride. It'll be over at some point.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, Adam, we always close these things up by offering you the opportunity to say whatever it is, whatever you want. Give you a soapbox to say anything, say something to somebody, say something about, within reason about somebody.
We can always bleep names.
Sure can. Power of editing. But the floor is yours, man.
No, I'll keep it all that stuff for the pre-interview.
Which was spicy.
Yeah, I think ever since you asked me to do this, I know you guys give this opportunity at the end, and I've been racking my brain about what to say and almost stressing about it. But I think it almost came to me on the pre-interview. This project that you guys have been doing it's awesome to get those different perspectives. We were talking in the pre-interview about the decisions that were made from our command staff during, and then to hear the thought process. I'm referring to Kitching. Sure. Hearing the thought process behind those decisions and what he was shielding us from. We would never know that stuff without this platform. Or other people's experiences, like people coming over from the district center or wherever that may be, of what their experience was before they came to us, and then when they got to us, what their experiences were. Because we interacted with each other, but we weren't on the ground with first or with third or whatever. So to get your guys' perspective on different things, it's been awesome, and the fact that I got to call third platoon out for coming in last place
in the CIB
in
cab
the
Olympics.
cab. I'm gonna go cab first in the cab/CIB race.
Yeah,
has made this all worth it.
That's true. They're gonna have to live with that the rest of their lives.
They will, because this is on the internet. It's permanent, folks.
Yeah, it's permanent,
boys. It's permanent. You cannot get rid of this. Everybody knows
you lost,
that we beat you.
Yep, the cab got before the SIB.
Exactly. Yeah. Every day you're gonna have to tell your grandkids what happened.
That tanker's got in the shit before the infantrymen did.
If before you get too butthurt, remember that Adam just was on a knee behind a wall the whole time. He didn't shoot his gun.
Okay, we can edit that part, right? All right. They don't need to know that.
Actually, I think let's get a war story in there, Adam. What's one of the most significant memories for you? Like close call or just like a bad day? Let's get that in, and then we'll wrap it up.
Man, again, you're going to pull from my memory.
Which one? Which one of many?
I'm not going to go with a firefight.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a mine.
Okay.
A landmine or anti-tank mine.
Okay.
All
Really?
right. Bear with me here.
I'm all ears.
So it was back to the beginning when I said we were truck bitches the first few weeks. We did a mission down to Big Reggae, and we got stuck. And this was like we were. What would that have been? Like a month out of calf, if that?
Yeah, this
somewhere
is
in that
April.
range.
This was spring in Panjwai, so all the dirt is just straight mud under the surface.
Yeah, and so we had done those IED lanes at calf, and then we set up a mock IED lane down at the range, and it almost, if I remember right, memory serves me right, it was a lot of tank mines were emphasized.
Yeah, the PMN mines.
Yeah, and so I had that in my mind. Okay, so we're going down to Big Reggae. The truck gets stuck, so we get out to start digging it. And I'm digging the back tire out, and I shit you not, I see a tank mine.
Ooh.
I fall backwards, like, I'm not going to say scream. I yell like a goddamn warrior about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, it was. Oh my God, it's a tank mine!
I look back, and it was... I shouldn't have told this story on live
I'm so
television,
happy
but
it is.
it was 3 piles of dirt lined up,
like
looking perfectly like a landmine.
Oh man,
dude, talk about having to go change my diaper out. It was only mud, folks, but it looked, everything in my mind was like,
I can totally see that, like in my mind's eye right now. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're fresh off the boat to speak, and all you've been told is mines. You've looked at them, you're looking for them. We're in in the dirt, and it just perfectly formed it. And I thought, this is where I go to hell right here.
Little did we know that none of the IEDs in Panjwai were circular.
Yeah, how many landmines did we actually encounter?
A couple.
2?
Like we
Maybe
found
a couple.
like 1 or 2 that were used as like the precursor for the main charge.
Yeah.
But
and so that first, oh my God.
Yeah.
That IED lane had me looking for like tripwires and stuff too. That IED lane was completely fucking
It had me just looking for tank mines. I guess that's the tanker.
Because you're a tanker.
Yeah, exactly. All I was looking for was tank mines. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Man. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one because I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I can see that. And I know like even like the little ridges along the edge, like the disc face of the mine. Yeah, I could definitely see it was like kind of shaping up like that.
Replica.
Yeah, that's too funny, man. It might have been one. It might have been like an old ancient Russian mine that had just coated over.
No, it was not. It was only dirt. Okay. I will admit it was only dirt, but all I had in my mind, I was looking for it. That was in my mind that there was going to be a mine somewhere out there, and my mind found it. So I want to say that Sergeant Marrero was on the ground with me there, and maybe like Heiserman or somebody. I can't. There was other people around.
Somebody
there
witnessed it at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I hope they don't remember it, but I sure as hell do.
Forget it.
I sure as hell remember that. Woof.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the first IED I thought that I found, it was the same thing. It was not exactly the same, but I saw something circular in the ground. I was like, oh my God, this has got to be an IED. And like at this time, we were still like under the training we initially got from the Air Force guys. Like, yeah, low crawl up to it and poke it with that non-metallic rod and figure out what it is. Because if you can't tell us for sure it's an IED, we're not coming out to take a look at it.
Yeah.
This was before we're like, fuck that, we're just gonna blow it up.
Yeah.
So here I am, low crawling up, poking this. It was like a piece of plastic or something, but it wasn't even circular. It was just like a piece of clay or plastic or something. But I was seeing circles in the dirt everywhere, and I think that whole experience just even now, like every time I see like a line of rocks, I'm like, I look out like that's not a line. That's literally just 5 rocks. They're not even lined up at all. But you train your mind to look for all these things.
So that was like early on in the deployment. Then fast forward 6 or 7 months in, we're doing something around Adam's Eye, I want to say, and I could be way off on the village, but we were clearing these compounds out, and I remember Lefebvre was on the Mine Hound, and we were inside the compound, and it was abandoned, but he got like a hit or something, and I was covering him as we like going through the different rooms or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, don't step there," and I was like, "Haha," thinking it was a joke, and I stepped right on it. So that. It obviously wasn't anything. It was just, I hope it wasn't anything. Maybe it was turned off. I don't know. I don't think it was. But that transition from this heightened sense of, holy shit, everything's going to kill us, to almost like, yeah, okay, whatever.
That also happens from the beginning to the end of patrol as you get tired.
That's very true.
Definitely.
Very true.
When you're tired, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Step on it. I get a helicopter ride to calf.
Get me back. However, we'll take every dirt path if it's the fastest way.
Right.
Just get me home.
Yep.
There's a direct proportion, a direct correlation between the amount of suck and the amount of risk you're willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because you would think that you would be like, I know this sucks, but I don't want to blow up, so I'm going to take the grape rose. You're just like, yeah, maybe we should hop on the road here. Like, we're within, the raid camera can see the road from here. Let's just hop on the road and hoof it back, Like, low crawl day for us, Curtis is a good day because I'm like crawling through the mud, and I'm like, this is terrible. Like, I'm sucking. Bullets are zipping over my head, but I was like, I think I'm just going to stand up and run. I think I'm close enough now. Instead of being like, I should stay low so I don't get shot. You're just like, I'm tired and I want to run now.
Right.
And that's what the correlation is. It's not between how difficult it is. It's between how tired you are.
How tired you are. Exactly.
Because like at the beginning of every patrol, we're like, hey, we're going to climb over top of every grape row. We're going to go in and out of every canal. We ain't going to even touch a road. We're going to look at a road. And then like 2 hours in, you're like, oh, the raid camera can see down this road. There's no way this one.
That road looks pretty nice right now.
This
Let's
road
get
looks
on it.
Great. Like, we've only been ambushed on Brown like 8 times. There's no way they'll do it a 9th time.
Speaking of Route Brown, I do got one.
Here you go.
You guys have names for your awesome missions.
We do.
I don't know if I should call them awesome.
Whoa.
I'm saying not dogging you guys, but for events that happen, I don't know if I should call it awesome.
Awesome unless shit went bad. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the Mogadishu Mile.
Yeah, I remember that.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
We were coming back from what? It was somewhere around the ALP checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We were coming out there. And we were walking down Brown, Hardtop Road, obviously. And we start getting contact from the east, from where we were just
walking out of
getting into firefights from.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing on Route Brown. There's a little ditch on the, what would that be, the west side, but it's all those sticker bushes or whatever. So, of course, we all scrambled. And I'm pretty sure there's a video, the raid camera video of this floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah. All of us just down into the sticker bushes, and so you can't move through it. So I think we pushed a little bit in, and we're like, "Fuck this!" So we got back on the hard.
It was impressive.
Yeah, got back on the hard top and sprinted back towards the ECP. And this was after probably like a 4 or 5 hour patrol, and so all of us are smoked. But that adrenaline dump for that,
and that's a good haul. Like that was many hundred meters from where you guys got hit back to the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
the
interesting.
Mogadishu Mile, that's our name.
Walking back in if you're not being shot at, like even though it's flat and it's easy, you're like, oh my god, that cop is so far away. Yeah. It never gets bigger. It never gets closer as you're walking down Route Brown. But boy, someone be shooting at you.
Yo,
you just found 10th gear.
Until you get to the ECP, and you remember the ECP was flat. And then you're like, okay, we're back and made it. And then you got to take that hill up to the ANA part. And it was like,
you got 2 choices.
Get the trucks down here to pick us up.
You got 2 choices and you come in that front gate. You can suck for 30 seconds and go straight up those stairs that were like Stairway to Heaven. It's like a thigh workout from hell, but it was short. Or you could walk a 1/4 mile all the way up the gradual hill across the whole HLZ.
Yeah,
I always
make
took
it
the
and
stairs.
Meander your way back into the school.
I don't think we ever took the stairs. That should say something right there about infantry versus tankers. We always took the the longer, harder,
The longer, easier way,
path.
not the shorter,
Oh,
harder
shit,
way.
that kind of backfired on me, didn't it?
Well,
Yes, sir.
I think that's a perfect place to end it.
I think it is too.
Adam, thank you so much. This has been
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate
a
it.
complete pleasure.
Yeah,
One of my
thanks for having
favorite
me.
interviews by far. So thank you for joining us. And
Absolutely.
thank you for being a cool tanker.
You got it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Panjwai Podcast. If you liked what you heard, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. New episodes every Monday on all major podcast platforms, Facebook, and YouTube. Visit www.thepanjwaipodcast.com for more information.